Alright, so today's video is going to be a bit different than any other video I've done. I'm just going to do sort of a review of a show I've been watching recently, which is called The Last of Us. Now, I will get into spoilers, so if you want to watch the show and don't want spoilers, then don't watch this video, I guess. But I'll give you like a quick review real quick. I think this is a really good show. I definitely recommend it. And yeah, if you haven't watched it yet and you want to, definitely go watch it. But I'll be getting into like spoilers and more now, so yeah, let's go. So this show is based off of the game called The Last of Us, and this game is like really good, really praised by the gaming community. So people's expectations were high for this, and there's been several other like game shows, most notably the Halo one, and a lot of people hated the Halo show. They said it was bad, and personally I haven't watched it, so I can't speak on that, but yeah, people were a bit skeptical about this because, of course, The Last of Us is a really good game, and they didn't want them to like fuck up the show or anything, make it just as bad as the Halo one. And a lot of people are pretty satisfied with it. Like, they definitely delivered on this. So me personally, I have not played the game, so I went into this not knowing anything about it. But yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, I'll explain real quick what the show is about. So basically, it's about this fungus that like controls people. And when you're infected by that fungus, you're basically turned into like a zombie. You don't have any control anymore over your body, and those infected people are fucking crazy. Like, they just attack other people and they try to like bite them. And when you get bit, you are like infected, and it takes a bit to work in, but eventually you also turn into a zombie. So that's basically what the show is about. And this guy right here, Joel, he's like the main character basically. The other main character is this girl called Ellie. And Ellie is the only person that is not affected by the fungus. She's immune. So Joel has to take her all the way to some place where they can help her and like examine her and like try to make a cure for the whole fungus thing. And yeah, they just have this whole journey throughout the whole show basically. But yeah, episode 1. So it starts off in 2003, I'm pretty sure. And I really liked this episode, right? This was a great first episode. We get introduced to the characters. We have Joel and his daughter are like the main characters in the beginning. And his daughter, his name is Sarah, and she fucking dies later on, which is pretty sad. I didn't expect that at all. You know, as I said, I did not know what to expect from this show. I haven't played the game, so I thought that Sarah was like a long-term character because, I mean, it's Joel's daughter, but she just like goes like almost instantly. But yeah, so my favorite part about this episode is the grandma that lives next door to them. This is a really old person, and she doesn't talk or anything. She's like in a wheelchair, probably has like dementia or something. She has like 2 people that take care of her. I'm not sure if it's like her children, but yeah, she was one of the first infected people. And Joel's daughter Sarah, she like goes into the house of that woman, and she just finds the woman being infected and just eating the 2 people that took care of her. Like, it was a really weird scene. And, like, the guy was there, like, almost half dead. Like, help me. And that was really nasty. But I thought it was really funny because that grandma, you wouldn't expect her to be infected and fucking killing people. But yeah, at the end of this episode, or like, I'm not sure exactly when it was because this is a long time ago. Like, it's been like 2 months since this released. At some point, we're like 20 years ahead of the future. This is like after Sarah dies. And the whole world is totally different 20 years later. The infected are still around, obviously, so the world is just completely changed, and I thought it was pretty cool. But like, they're like all in areas like controlled by the government, you know? Everything is on lockdown. They have like cities with massive walls so nothing can get in. Security and everything. Yeah, I did think it was a little strange, just that random jump from like 20 years. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, suddenly we're 20 years in the future, and somewhere around episode 1 and 2 here, Joel gets to meet Ellie, together with Tess, which is like a friend that Joel had. They work together on stuff. And Tess, she died. I'm not sure if she died in episode 2. I can't remember fully. Maybe it was number 3. But anyway, she dies, which was kind of sad. Like, they were fighting infected and she got bit. But yeah, I don't really remember episode 2 all that well. I mean, they got introduced to Ellie, I'm pretty sure, and they just like started their journey. It was still a good episode though. Like, I don't really hate any of these episodes except for the last one, right? But I'll get into that. But yeah, it was pretty good. They just picked up Ellie, I'm pretty sure, and they left the area they were like locked in with the walls and stuff, you know, controlled by the government. It was pretty tricky getting out. And if you get out, you can't get back in. Because if you're caught getting out and then like trying to get back in or something, they're gonna fucking kill you. Like, they hang people like publicly. Fucking medieval type shit. So you can't really get caught. But they didn't. Obviously, it's a show, so they made it out of there. And now episode 3, I'm pretty sure this is the Bill and Frank episode, which was, honestly, this might be my favorite episode of any show I've ever seen, alright? This was so fucking funny and beautiful. We have these guys, Bill and Frank, and Bill was a fucking legend, alright? I fucking love Bill. The second the infected started to take over, he was like, fuck this shit, I'm not gonna get evacuated, I'm gonna fucking sit in my house. He has like a fucking underground bunker, and he just kept hidden there until like all the police were gone. And this guy built his own fucking base. Like, he has a whole base with like traps and stuff. stuff for infected. He has like flamethrowers that just kill infected, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, it is actually wild. And this guy was completely like independent. Like, he even had like his own farm for like crops and stuff, and he even had his own energy. So shout out to Bill, bro. Like, he might be my favorite person in this whole series. Like, actually, at one point, Frank comes along, and at first Frank is just a stranger, and he falls into like a trap of Bill. Not one with a flamethrower. It was just a hole in the ground. But yeah, Bill takes him in. And eventually they become like a couple, which is pretty cute. And we just have this whole like episode dedicated to them, basically. Just spanning over their entire lives, because in the end they do die. They actually like kill themselves, sort of. It's because Frank has like some sort of muscle disease, so he couldn't like walk anymore. And they were already like decently old, so Frank wanted to die and told Bill to like put like a lot of that sleeping pills into his drink. But then Bill did the Uno reverse card, and he didn't just put them in Frank's drink, but also in his own drink. So then they romantically died together. So it was a really good episode. But the whole reason why Bill and Frank were like introduced in the first place was because they were like old friends of Joel and Tess. So Joel actually was planning to go to them to get like a car, I'm pretty sure. But then we get this whole episode of like Bill and Frank and explaining their story, and eventually they died. So when Joel got there, they were fucking dead. But he still got all the supplies that he needed, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, some people didn't like this episode. As you can see by the ratings, it's an 8.0, which is pretty low compared to the rest, like 9.2, 9.1. Because this is not how it goes in the game. Like, in the game, the characters aren't that like developed, They're just like side characters kind of, and Bill is still alive when they arrive. But, I don't really mind it, because it was a really cool episode. I fucking loved it. But once again, I have not played the game, so I don't really know all that much about that. But I really loved this episode. It was probably my favorite. Definitely my favorite. But yeah, moving on from that episode, we have episode 4. This was a pretty good episode. It wasn't as memorable as the other ones, I would say. Like, the next one I really liked. The next one is really cool. But this one is like kind of building up to that. So they get to like a city, and they just get fucking ambushed. Like, there's people like trying to fucking kill their asses because they're driving into like some territory of theirs, and they almost got fucking robbed. So rest in peace to their fucking car. Like, that car was just gone. So they had to hide out in the city. As you can see here, Joel is like looking through like a window because they were hiding from like all the people that were like trying to kill them. And episode 5 is when this guy right here, I forgot his name, was it like Henry? I think it was Henry. He teamed up with Joel and Ellie, and he also had a brother, by the way. His name was Sam, I think. So Henry and Sam teamed up with Ellie and Joel, and Henry was like the #1 most wanted person in that city. Like, they were on his ass like the whole time. There was this woman, Kathleen, like the leader of that gang. She was all about Henry, bro. She was like, we gotta get Henry. She kept talking about Henry, and this guy was just hiding out in the city. So yeah, this guy is just fucking menace. He like betrayed her brother or something. He was working with like the government. They call the government like the Fedra. I'm pretty sure that's like the government term in this show. The Fedra pretty much runs everything. And yeah, Henry helped the Fedra kill her brother, I think. So she was really mad at him. But anyways, they team up, and this episode was so fucking good because we also get like a whole backstory. Well, not a whole backstory, but like a decent backstory on Henry and Sam. And it's kind of the same as with this one, episode 3. They create like a whole episode based on like characters that fucking die at the end because eventually they escape the city. But they do get in like a huge fight with Kathleen and the whole gang. And in that fight, there are a lot of infected just came out of nowhere. Like, there was this underground like thing. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but there was just a whole bunch of infected under the ground that just popped out of the ground as they were fighting. So thanks to those infected, they actually made it out alive. If those infected didn't show up, then Joel, Ellie, and everyone would have died. But, those infected really ruined the party for Kathleen and her gang. But unfortunately, the little brother of Henry, Sam, he got bit. So, that boy was infected. So Sam eventually starts attacking Ellie, and Henry pulls the fucking trigger, right? Henry kills Sam, his younger brother, and Henry is so in shock that he kills himself as well. I was like so fucking shocked by that, because Ellie and Sam are really good friends. So I was like, alright, let's go. We have some friends, alright? I thought they were gonna span over like till the rest of the fucking season. I did not expect them to die in the same episode. So that was pretty wild, but I really liked that episode though. And now episode 6, this one was still a good episode. Not as memorable as the others though, but yeah. If you watch the show, you know who Tommy is. I didn't explain it yet, so if you haven't, I'll quickly explain who Tommy is. Tommy is Joel's brother, and basically this whole like quest was for Joel to go to his brother Tommy. And in the meantime, like, getting Ellie to, like, a different place for, like, the cure. So anyways, he finally gets to Tommy. Like, he was meant to, like, save him or something. Like, Joel kept acting like Tommy was, like, in a bad place, like, in danger. I got no idea why he thought that, but Tommy was fucking fine. Like, he was just chilling. He lived in, like, the city, and he had a whole wife and stuff. But, yeah, eventually, there was, like, this whole thing with, like, Joel not wanting to continue the journey with Ellie for some reason. It was really weird. Like, he was, like, getting Tommy to like do it instead, like because he was gonna continue to the Fireflies, which is where they need to go to. They need to go to like a gang of Fireflies that would then like get the cure. Also, if you don't know what Fireflies are, I don't know if I explained it already, but if I did, I'll just do it again. Basically, the Fireflies are like the rebellion people that are like against the Fedra, the government, and they like fight against it. But yeah, they had to take Ellie there because the Fireflies are able to make a cure. So there was this whole thing, as I said, with Joel not wanting to go, but then eventually he did go, so that whole thing was just about nothing. It was kind of weird. So they continue on to the journey, and Joel fucking dies, almost. Like, he almost dies because of some random dudes that were hanging out in like a building that they were entering, and he got fucking stabbed, alright? I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead, literally. He wasn't dead, apparently. Like, Ellie got him to safety, and she tried, like, helping him, which is what happens in the next episode here, episode 7, which is the lowest rated, and I actually agree. I did not like this episode. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I thought it was a bit misplaced, because we have Joel almost dying, and then the whole episode is just a random flashback from Ellie. Like, it felt kind of misplaced. Like, it's a cool flashback, but it was, I don't know, it just felt like a little misplaced. But basically, Ellie just has like this flashback of like an old friend that was also a Firefly, and that friend died. So it was like kind of random. So I don't know what the whole point of this flashback was. Maybe she was like, damn, I can't lose another good friend. I really have to help him good. Like, I don't know. It was kind of misplaced. But it was still like an alright episode, but definitely the weakest out of the whole bunch. Except for maybe the last one, which once again I'll get into in a second. But yeah, eventually she does like help Joel, mostly in the 8th episode, because the episode 7 is occupied by the flashback for the most part. So in episode 8, Ellie runs into like this crew of people that like live in like a city, and these people are cannibals. They eat human meat, alright? These guys are crazy. This man right here is fucking insane. But yeah, they have this whole fucking fight with like those guys, and it was pretty nuts, right? Like, Joel was like damn near dying, and he like suddenly like gets to kill like 4 people while he's like basically almost dead. Like, it was kind of strange. I would say the fights were a little bit weird, yeah, with the whole Joel thing. Just like he went from like barely living to killing 4 people in like 15 minutes. And also Ellie had like a pretty insane fight against 2 people. So maybe those fights were a bit unrealistic, but they were still cool though. But alright, moving on. The final episode, I hated this. I absolutely hated this. It made no sense at all. Ellie was super weird in the beginning. Like, this is like already like a few weeks ahead of the time again. Like, between episode 8 and episode 9 is like a couple weeks, maybe even like a month. I don't even know, but this was wild, alright? So this starts off with like a scene of like Ellie's birth, and we actually get to see why she's immune, because her mother got like bit in the same time she was giving birth, which was a really weird scene. But yeah, so that's why she's immune, because she was like born infected, half infected, I don't even know. But anyways, Ellie acts really weird in this. Like, she acts super weird. I don't know what's up with her, but she's like just really different from the other episodes for some reason. I also want to mention that throughout each episode, Joel and Ellie started to like each other more each time. At first, they hated each other, but then as the show went on, they started to like each other more. And I guess in episode 9, they really viewed each other as like family. So they didn't really want to like let go of each other, because of course Ellie had to like go to the Fireflies, get the cure, and then Joel had to move on with his life. But I guess they didn't really want that. So maybe that's why Ellie was kind of acting weird. But anyways, eventually they do get to the Fireflies, and Joel just fucking changes, right? He went from a good guy the whole fucking way through. He was a good guy, and now he's fucking evil. Alright? This man just went on a fucking killing spree, alright? Like, they were taking Ellie from him, because of course they had to get the cure for the virus, but there was a pretty high chance that Ellie was gonna die while they were trying to get that cure, because it was like a brain surgery. And I guess Joel kind of viewed Ellie as like a second daughter, you know, Sarah, which I mentioned earlier, she died, and Joel, I guess, feels responsible for that, a lot of guilt. And he didn't want to lose another, like, daughter figure, I guess. So he went from being a good guy the whole way through to then eventually being evil and literally just saying fuck this shit. And he fucking killed like every fucking person in that hospital that were like working on the cure. Like, every single person fucking dead. And then he just took Ellie back. Like, it was so weird. I was not expecting that at all. So the episode ended with them just going back to like the town where Tommy is at. They were like pretty near. They weren't already at it, but you know, pretty close. But Ellie was like, yo, what happened, bro? And he was like, yo, we got attacked and I had to fucking flee the scene, and I took you with me. So that was really weird. He was just straight up lying to Ellie. Like, I don't understand at all. But apparently this is how it goes in the game as well, which, I mean, you know, I can't blame the show for doing that then as well, but that doesn't mean that it's good. I hate it. This was a terrible ending. I just didn't like it at all. I really hoped it was something different, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. And there is Last of Us 2, alright? So there's probably going to be another season because the game has 2 parts as well. And maybe in the context of both the seasons, this episode is not that bad. But right now, I absolutely hate it, alright? This was like a horrible ending. I did not want to see it end this way. But anyways, this was like sort of a kind of a review or just talking about the show, I guess, because I really liked it. And yeah, I just want to talk about it. Now, if I were to rate this or anything, I'd probably give it like an 8.5, maybe like a 9 at max, alright? Because there were some weaker moments and the last episode, which I really did not like personally. So yeah, I'd probably go like in between that, like maybe an 8.7. Yeah, I feel like that's a solid score. But anyways, hope you enjoyed and see ya.